We look at tonight's forecast, we can see that the temperatures will only drop down into about the 50s. That is due to the clouds. They are going to be trapping that warm, moist air. And we look at tomorrow's forecast, we'll get up into about the 70s for most of the area, 64 in St. Mark's, that's an exception. But for today's show, we can look at unsettled weather, cooler temperatures next week, and Valentine's Day forecast. For that and more, just tune in, it's starting now, actually.
Good evening and welcome into the Tuesday edition of FSU Weather, and we're wrapping up a very overcast day here in Tallahassee. Even had a couple rumbles of thunder earlier this morning, signaling, we're starting to head towards the spring months and severe weather season is right around the corner, guys. So had some rumbles of thunder, some severe thunderstorm warnings were in the area earlier today. Not for the immediate Tallahassee area, but we have a stationary front that's pretty much dominating the region, bringing that overcast and wet weather to the region. It is also very foggy outside over much of the panhandle, so even though not getting in on any heavy rain, we're still feeling the humidity out there. Dew points are pretty much realizing our current temperatures right now, bringing that wetter weather and that wetter feel to the atmosphere as well. So we have a lot in store for tonight's show, a lot in terms of wet weather to talk about in our 7-day forecast. We'll get to that a little bit later, but temperatures starting to get back to normal. We've been below average for a while, but signs are that that trend is ending and we're going to start getting into some warmer months here. So if you're not a big fan of the winter like myself, we are starting to be in the home stretch of that period and getting ready for a warmer couple weeks ahead, and then we'll really be into the thick of things as we head throughout the next couple months. So with a look at the rain and the overcast conditions in the area, seeing how long they will last, how much more time we're going to have to deal with them, let's head over to Tyler at the wall.
Thanks, Riley. Over the past couple hours here in Tallahassee, we've really seen some very misty conditions. You see the clouds are very low in the sky over Doak Campbell Stadium. You're not going to be able to see a sunset tonight, that's for sure. So currently we're at 63 degrees. You've seen those foggy skies. And winds are pretty calm overall. Your feels like temperature is the exact same as your actual temperature. It feels like 63 degrees outside. And that's just 1 degree lower than our high temperature. We got up to 64 degrees today, and that low temperature was 52. So we had pretty moderate temperatures for the most part. That's just because of all the rain and cloud cover we've had here. Temperatures didn't get too cold, but they also didn't get too hot as well. Way off from that record high set in 1932 of 85 degrees. So for the rest of the Big Bend region, you're going to see very similar temperatures for the most part. 63 degrees in Thomasville, 64 in Valdosta, and then a little bit closer to the coastline. Perry, you guys are at 66 degrees, but it's overcast for the entire region. All that heavy rain moved through earlier on in the afternoon, so we just have some misty conditions for the most part, and that's supported by these dew points. The dew points for most of these cities are exactly the same as the actual temperature. So that's why we're getting some fog developing here in Tallahassee, because there's just so much moisture building up in the air. So here's what the satellite and radar looks like currently. You saw that the cloud coverage mostly moved out, but we still have the fog in the area, so still overcast skies for Tallahassee. And there was some rain by Port St. Joe a little bit earlier, but all the rain has moved out of the Big Bend region for the most part, besides some sprinkles and small showers throughout the region. Here's our upper level water vapor, just showing those cloud tops continuing to move towards North Florida now, and even getting into the northern parts of Central Florida. So over the next 24 hours, you're going to see cloud coverage continue to build up over Tallahassee. Might see some spotty showers all throughout the region, and so really just expecting cloudy skies for tomorrow. Not really going to see much sunshine at all. Here's your temperature outlook for the low temperatures tonight, going to be in the upper 50s to lower 60s. And then tomorrow's forecast going to be in the lower 70s for Tallahassee, Monticello, and 64 in St. Mark's by the coastline. Tonight, it's going to be foggy. The wind's coming out of the south at 4 miles per hour. Temperature's close to 60 degrees. And tomorrow, 71 degrees with those scattered thunderstorms. And here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We're going to have rain chances for every single day for the next week, although might see the sun peek out a little bit over the next couple of days. Still going to be a lot of clouds, though. And then Valentine's Day looking like a 50% chance of rain with a high of 59. Now I'm going to pass things off to Riley with a look at the southeast.
Well, Tyler, that is a very rainy and wet look here at our local forecast. If we take things out, what are we seeing across the southeast? Well, a lot of the same story. We have a lot of temperatures mirroring what they should be for this time of year, or maybe in some cases a little bit above. Currently 78 degrees in Miami, so that's a far cry from those cooler temperatures we were seeing about a week ago. And our dew points are also pretty much across the southeast, showing a lot of very wet conditions. We have a lot of moist air with all these greens, even darker greens as we head into the Florida Peninsula. Little Rock is staying pretty dry, though, at a 34-degree dew point. That indicates it's, dry out there. You might want to put on a layer of chapstick. And our winds, we have a stationary front in the region, so these winds are really all over the place, not a very defined pattern that we are seeing. Miami and Tampa getting in on some 10-mile-per-hour wind gusts there. And again, it's fairly wet across the region, a lot of humidity, and in some cases that will result in some rain falling from the skies. We see in some showers in portions of central Georgia. A lot of the wet weather is staying off the coast of the Carolinas, but we do have some wet weather in the Florida Panhandle today. A lot of that is now offshore as we head into sunset. We're going to get more rising air over the ocean rather than over land at this time of day. Now our upper level water vapor is showing a lot of moist air in these higher cloud tops indicated by those blues and those whites. Some drier orange behind it. We have a dry slot that is starting to move into Tallahassee. So if you start to notice less clouds, that is going to be why, although we do have a lot of foggy conditions that will be persisting. Tonight's temperature forecast, where it's a little wetter and more humid, we're going to see higher temperatures closer to that 60-degree mark in the Florida Panhandle, up towards 70 down in Miami. Little Rock getting to the coolest place here in the southeast, getting down to the freezing mark. And for the day tomorrow across the region, staying cool in portions of Arkansas. Aside from that, going to be pretty mild, even hot in some places like Miami and Orlando. Temperatures, though, for much of the southeast, it's going to be very reasonable, a lot of 70s. You can even break out the shorts if you feel like it there. Atlanta getting up to 69 degrees. So in some cases, this is some unseasonable warmth. But without further ado, let's change the topic here and head off to Tyler.
Thanks, Riley. We're going to take a look at the big picture here in the U.S., that being our national outlook. Things are bitterly cold in the north, with Billings even being in those negative temperatures right now at -4 degrees. Bismarck's pretty cold as well at 6 degrees, and Minneapolis at 7. And that cold air is really dipping pretty far south in the central U.S., because Kansas City is only getting up to 13 degrees right now, and Dallas is at their freezing point at 32. You can really see a huge temperature gradient in Texas here, with Dallas at 32 degrees, and then going south to San Antonio, they're at 72. And really, the southeast is going to be pretty warm as well. Tallahassee, 63 degrees right now. Same with Atlanta. And as we move towards the west, Denver is fairly cold right now at 27 degrees. But that west coast, pretty moderate temperatures in LA and San Francisco. Both those cities are at 57 degrees right now. There's a lot of dry air in the region as well. Well, maybe not the region, but the entire U.S. Kansas City, dew point of 5 degrees. And Minneapolis even getting those dew points into the negatives. So a lot of that moisture is going to be situated in the southeast, especially in Miami, where they have a dew point of 70 degrees. So here is our entire map here with our fronts. This stationary front right here is what's causing some of the rain in Tallahassee. And really, all throughout the U.S., you're just seeing no strong systems really, just some scattered rain in some of these regions, although New York is seeing some snow off to their east, and then getting into Colorado, south of Denver, seeing some snow there as well as parts of southern Utah and northern Arizona. Now, upper level water vapor is showing where some of those cloud tops are, so showing where some of the moisture is in our region. So where you see the snow in Denver and Utah, you can see some moisture in the air, as well as where all that cloud coverage and rain was at in North Florida. So let's move on to the drought monitor. It's a good thing that they're seeing some snowfall in Colorado and Utah because they are under an exceptional drought right now, so they really need some rain or snowfall to help alleviate those drought-like conditions. And really, most of the southwest United States is in a drought right now. Florida, in central Florida, pretty dry conditions, but Tallahassee is looking pretty good now. So for most of the eastern part of the country, no drought to be seen. Some regions having some drier conditions, though. And for our future radar, you're going to see a lot of cloud coverage build up in the southern part, or the southern states of the U.S., as well as some of these states here, Kentucky and Tennessee, as well as Ohio. Going to see some cloud coverage build up. And tonight, if you're in Minneapolis, don't expect things to get much warmer. For that low temperature, going to get down to negative 11 degrees. Billings going to get down to negative 14. But if you're living in San Francisco and LA, things aren't going to change too much. You're going to be in the upper 40s if you're in LA. And for tomorrow's forecast, the northern states are not going to get much warmer. Minneapolis, 7 degrees for your high. Billings, negative 4 for your high temperature. So if I was in Billings, Montana, I would be staying indoors tomorrow, if at all possible. Now I'm going to pass things off to Chandler with a look at the local.
That's right. Thank you for that look at the national. Let's zoom back in on Tallahassee. See those current conditions. You really can't see Doak Campbell Stadium. That's how much the fog is built in the last hour. I can remember just walking here about 30 minutes ago, and it wasn't as foggy as it is currently. Man, these conditions have been worsening. We have current conditions, 63 degrees. Winds are pretty calm. You can look at those temperatures. We have 60s over most of the area, 65 in Apalachicola, 63 here in Tallahassee. Get up into Bainbridge, you get to 64, but mainly it's just 60s all around. Same with the dew point, that's making that very muggy conditions. As we've been saying on the show for the last 10 minutes or so, really just whenever you have those dew points that are close together, you really just see those extremely muggy conditions that usually indicates that you'll have some fog, have some rainy conditions. You look at the winds, they're coming out of the east. That's not really something you would expect. However, they are pretty light. We have 3 miles per hour here in St. Mark's and 5 in Thomasville, excuse me. You have rain that's pushing off from the Gulf into Perry and Cross City. However, we are really not experiencing anything in here in Tallahassee. You can get off into about Port St. Joe, and you can see maybe they were dealing with a little bit of rain just a moment ago. Look at those 24 hours. The showers really clear out, and we'll have some showers potentially, like some spotty showers tomorrow. However, not anything consistent. It will still be cloudy, however, so not too enjoyable conditions. Tonight, 58 will be our low, excuse me, and we will be foggy. So keep an eye out if you are driving tonight. We will be having some hazardous conditions. Also, those roads, they might still be a little bit wet, so they can be a little slick. You talk about tomorrow, scattered storms, high of 71, winds are calm. And we look at the week ahead. Well, we have 50% chance of rain tomorrow, so that's spotty showers with a high of around 71. We get into Thursday, we'll taper off a bit. We still have a slight chance of showers, but mainly it's just going to be a little bit of a break considering what we have following after that. That will also be our highest temperature, our peak for the week, excuse me. So you might be able to enjoy it a slight bit, although I wouldn't bank on it because we will still have that cloud coverage. Friday, the storms do return, and then you get into Saturday and Sunday. Well, we'll still have the rainy conditions for much of the area. We look at Sunday, we might taper off just a tad, and you look at Monday and Tuesday, it'll be about the same story with highs around 50, so we will cool down a bit, but overall it'll be a pretty rainy week. Now let's go to Tyler.
Thanks, Chandler. We're going to do another educational segment here at FSU Weather. In honor of my atmospheric physics students having an exam this Thursday, I'm going to talk about atmospheric radiation. I know most of them are probably not watching, but if they are, I would hope that they know all of this information already, considering the exam is in 2 days. But here, I'm going to talk about Earth's energy budget. So we have incoming and outgoing radiation. Of course, incoming radiation is that radiation coming from the sun to the Earth's surface. That's how we warm up here on planet Earth and support life. But we don't keep all that energy once it hits. If we did, things would get really out of hand. We have outgoing radiation as well. So once the Earth absorbs that radiation, it emits some of it as long-wave radiation out from the surface. That's what helps cool things down, especially during the night. Once we stop getting that incoming radiation from the sun, we have more outgoing radiation coming from the Earth's surface. So that's why things continue to cool down throughout the night, especially on clear nights with no clouds to trap the radiation. So whenever you're looking at radiation, latitude and distance from the sun is a big thing to consider. If you're living in the tropics or close to the tropics like we are here in Florida, the sun is going to be overhead, directly overhead more often, especially during those summer months here in Tallahassee. So you're going to get more sunshine in a smaller area, allowing things to warm up a lot more. But the further north up you are, let's say you're in Alaska, those sun rays are going to be spreading out over a larger area, so you're not going to be able to absorb more energy in those regions. And especially once you get into the winter, where the sunshine is very minimal in Alaska, you're not going to be getting much incoming solar radiation at all. So that's why things get so cold the further up you go in latitude, and why temperatures are pretty warm year-round whenever you're close to the equator in the tropics. Another factor to consider is the cloud coverage. Clouds can absorb sunlight, reflect it, and scatter it. So really, the clouds can help protect us from some of that sunshine. That's why on cloudy days, things are cooler here. And then talking about some of the atmospheric chemistry, you have the ozone layer up high, which absorbs a lot of those harmful UV rays to keep them from getting to us here on the surface. But that's all the time I have to talk about atmospheric chemistry. I'm going to pass things off to Chandler with a look at Florida.
Yes, so talking about that sunshine, now we're going to talk about the Sunshine State. Let's look at those current conditions. We have basically 60s in the upper portion of Florida, North Florida and the Panhandle. We're at the 60s. Then we look at Central Florida. We got basically 70s for most of the area. Orlando, you are actually at 80. We look into Miami and the Key West area, and they're also in the 70s. Looking at those dew points, though, all throughout the Florida region, we have pretty muggy conditions. 60s across northern Florida and the Panhandle. In Central Florida, we got 60s as well, but they start to increase as we get into South Florida, where we have 70-degree dew points, which is the most in the whole entire continental U.S., as Tyler mentioned. And looking at those upper-level water vapor, well, these are your cloud tops. They're over the Gulf Coast, so not much as far as moisture in the form of rain and cloud tops. However, we still have some of those whites in Tallahassee and other regions in Florida that can contribute to more cloudy conditions. Looking at that radar condition, well, basically we have the rain in Gulf Coast, and it's tapered off here in the Big Bend region. And then you look at Tampa, well, you guys are pretty sunny, pretty clear. North Florida, the clouds are rolling in, and the clouds are rolling in slightly, as if you do live in Tampa, you can expect them to eventually roll in tonight. Looking at satellite and radar for North Florida region, well, as I mentioned, we have those clouds that are rolling through Jacksonville, and they are clearing up a little bit in Tallahassee. However, we are still seeing those foggy conditions. And we're looking at Central Florida. Well, for the most part, pretty sunny, pretty dry as well. And South Florida is also same story, pretty dry conditions. And we're looking at the next 3 days in Miami, 80s for the most part. moisture really won't make it to you guys. You guys will be muggy, but I mean, you guys are probably used to that. And the cold front really won't push through, or the stationary front, excuse me. So you guys really won't experience as much of that rain. As we move farther north, though, we can look at Tampa. Well, we'll be about the 80s for the most part. We'll also be around like the same rain percentages. And then as we go into Orlando, really we're just going to stay around those 80s, but those rain chances do increase. And in Jacksonville, we really will see the same conditions. And Pensacola, you guys will have a little bit of rainier conditions as we go throughout the next 3 days. Those lows, we can really see just lows across the board are in the 60s and 50s, pretty warm for this time of year. And tomorrow, 80s and 70s will be our story. Now I'm going to toss things to Tyler at the desk.
Thanks, Chandler. We're talking a little bit about the weather with some of these upcoming sports events here at FSU. Right now, we only have basketball going on. So the men's basketball team is going to start things back up again this weekend after being on pause for a COVID scare, but luckily that's all over with now. So this Saturday at noon, they're going to play at Wake Forest, or Wake Forest is coming to FSU to play here in Tallahassee. Going to be pretty rainy conditions leading up to the game. So you're walking to the game, you want to make sure to bring a poncho at least. I'm not sure if umbrellas are allowed in the stadium, so I looked that up before the game. But I'm not sure what's going on with those times. It says 8 p.m., then 1 p.m., then 2 p.m. But on Saturday, you're going to see a lot of rain regardless. So be sure to bring the poncho, just in case. Virginia is coming to FSU to play on Monday as well. This game is going to be at 7 p.m. So it's going to be 53 degrees leading up to that game. The walkover might see some showers. So once again, prepare for possibly seeing some rain before the game. But by the time you start to leave at 9 p.m., things are going to be overcast with temperatures being around 50 degrees. So luckily that rain's going to stop by then. This Thursday, Syracuse is playing at FSU. So the lead up to the game for women's basketball, it's going to be 70 degrees and cloudy. So it'd be a pretty nice walk over to the stadium if you want to go to the FSU women's basketball home game on Thursday. And then throughout the game, those temperatures are only going to dip a little bit by about 4 degrees. So once you leave the game, it's going to be 66 degrees. It's still a little bit cloudy. And then finally on Sunday, Miami is coming to Tallahassee. We're getting tons of home games this week and this weekend. Once again, you're going to see some showers before the game at 2 p.m. On the walkover. Going to be 57 degrees. The showers are going to continue throughout the rest of the game as well. And then once you're leaving, still possibly going to be raining. So if you're going to any of these basketball games, be sure to prepare for the rain before and after the games. Now I'm going to send things back off to the wall with Riley.
Well, thank you, Tyler. And over Doak Campbell Stadium right now, or what you can even see of it, the fog has really started to move into the area over the past course of this show. I mean, half an hour ago, you could make out the stadium now. Maybe some windows here, not really seeing a great view of Doak this evening. Now, today we did get up to just about average, seeing a high temperature of 64 degrees. Our average is usually around 66 degrees, so we spent quite a while getting days below average. That average has finally started to be met, and chances are in this upcoming week we will start to get temperatures above average, just like our low was this morning, waking up to 52 degrees, usually somewhere around that 40-degree mark. And temperatures across the region, even though the sun has gone down, we're still holding on to those 60s because it is just so humid outside that we're retaining a lot of that radiation like we saw in our educational segment this evening. Down towards Apalachicola, we are currently at 65 degrees, so a little warmer there towards the coast. But across the region, our muggy meter is showing it's a little muggy outside. You're feeling a little bit, but it's not too oppressive like we see in the summer months, which is some good news. And actually, don't really have to worry too much about the chapstick this evening. At least there's a good sign for that. Now, what this light green is showing us is our storm risk for today. It's just some thunderstorms in the area, as we saw earlier this morning, had a couple rumbles of thunder move through town. And on our radar right now, we see a lot of the rain is starting to move out of the area, but don't let this fool you, because even though it looks fairly clear over Tallahassee, the visibility is not so great as we saw due to a lot of low-lying fog that we're not seeing much of on the radar because it is so low to the ground. But the rain for now is moving out of the area, should be fairly dry overnight, although the cloud cover will be sticking around. And into the day tomorrow, we do have the chance at seeing some storms once again. So do keep that umbrella handy for the day tomorrow. Chances are you may need it. Our marine forecast, if you're heading out to the sea, temperatures for the day tomorrow getting up to 70 degrees, so a little warmer than average for this time of year. And this evening here in Tallahassee, temperatures will be around that 60-degree mark, but it will be foggy. So what we're seeing over Doak Campbell Stadium this evening, that is going to persist throughout the night. And for the day tomorrow, some scattered thunderstorms will be in the area. Temperatures getting up into the 70s in our day part forecast. So storms for the day tomorrow is clearing out as we head throughout the evening. And our week ahead, a lot of rain, guys. Your best day will be Thursday if you want to do any outdoor activities, but regardless, for the rest of the week, keep that umbrella handy. Chandler?
Yes, yeah, it's been pretty daggum rainy lately, and we'll just continue to see some more rain throughout basically all of this week. As Riley mentioned, Thursday will probably be our best chance for better conditions where you can get outside, maybe enjoy some sun, maybe walk the dog, and basically just make sure you bring a raincoat throughout all of this week. If you're wanting to go to one of the basketball games, if you have a ticket, make sure you bring a raincoat. Most all of those games, there's going to be a chance of rain either when you walk in or when you walk out, or maybe even both. So just make sure wherever you go really this week, if you're in Tallahassee, you got to bring that umbrella. And specifically talking tonight, we really need to watch out for those driving conditions. It's going to be pretty foggy tonight. I want to emphasize that if you are driving tonight, please make sure that you drive safely, turn on those fog headlights, and as you're walking or as you're driving, watch for walkers, watch for bikers. Basically just watch out for anything that you could end up hitting. We definitely see this all the time. We can see foggy conditions, but follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/FSU. Like us on Facebook, also facebook.com/FSU weather, and then watch us live on YouTube at FSU Weather. And also follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather. We really enjoy your guys' photos, and we love to post them and just reply to them. And it's been a great experience having the show with you guys. But for now, this has been FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Chandler Pruitt. Good night.